Hey, what's going on? My name is Rick, and in this video, I'll be showing you how you can import your YouTube subscribers from a channel over to a new channel. And you must be asking, why would you need to do this? Well, there's a couple reasons why you might want to do this. For example, in my case, I have 3 channels and I need to be able to maintain my subscription within each of these channels. But I'm mostly active on one of my channels, which is Rick Hernandez channel. So when I'm posting comments, when I'm uploading videos, so on and so forth, that's the channel that I'm most active on. So I want to move all my subscriptions from all these 3 different channels over to that main channel in order to be able to manage my subscriptions that way. Alright, now that we actually have an idea of what we're going to be building, first thing is first, we actually have to go ahead and download our subscriptions via the subscription manager. If you don't know how to get the subscription manager, I'm going to go ahead and show you. If you go to your YouTube channel, you have to make sure that you're logged in with the right account, and you want to go into subscriptions, and this will bring you up to a similar page as this one. As you can see here, I have 5 subscriptions, and I have an option to export to an Rss Reader. So I'm going to go ahead and click the export option here. This is going to go ahead and download the subscription _manager.xml file. Once you actually have downloaded this, we actually going to need to go ahead and initialize this project as a Nodejs project. So the way you do this, you actually want to go ahead and jump over to terminal and run these couple commands. So I'm going to go over to the terminal now. And what I want to do here is I want to make a directory, and I'm going to call this directory channel. Let's make sure we get space in there. And we're going to go ahead and change into a directory. If I can spell channel and cd into channel, and we're inside channel now. You want to do an npm init here. It looks good to me. Version 1 description, let's call it app.js. Test commands, no test, no get, no keywords. And then license, we'll just go under MIT. Everything looks good here. And as you can see, we have a package.json here that we actually went ahead and initiated with that npm init. We want to just do another git init here just to make sure we have a git repository. We want to do an echo, and the echo, we're going to go ahead and do echo node/modules, and we want to pipe that over to .rgit ignore file. And we want to run the same command again, but instead of node modules, we want to say star.xml. So we don't check in any of our subscriptions over to the repository. Then we want to do an npm install, and we want to do xml2js -- save. And what this is the library is going to allow us to be able to parse that XML file into a JavaScript object. So once you actually do that, we actually want to do a couple things here. And then what we want to do is we want to actually go ahead and create that file that we're actually going to be able to run with Node, and that's going to be our app file. So I'm just going to say touch app.js, and that goes ahead and creates that file. Now if we do an ls, you'll see we have the node modules, we have the package.json, and we have the app file as well. So the last part here is to actually go ahead and create the code that's actually going to be executing for our Node.js application. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over into brackets, and here I am in brackets, and as you can see here, I already have the project open, and I have the app.js file here, and we have this package.json. One thing I did forget to do is I'm going to go back into the terminal, and I'm going to go ahead and move the file that we downloaded. That's going to be called subscriptions manager.xml, and I want to move that over to this directory here. So now as you can see here, we're going to go back into the text editor. So you can see here that I have the subscriptions.manager file. So I'm going to go ahead and just click save on this in order for it to be able to format it. And as you can see here, we have a format here. We have an OPML, body, outline, 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 so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now, and we're actually going to go ahead and actually create the application itself. So first thing is first, we actually want to create a variable here that's going to store our fs, because we're going to be able to reading that file. And the one we're going to be reading in is going to be called fs for node, and then we're actually going to need a child process, and we're going to call this equal to require, and we're going to need, for the child process, it's going to be child _ process. And the last one is going to be xml2js, which is going to be just another require, and the require for this one is going to be xml2js. And there we go. So that goes ahead and pretty much sets us up with our dependencies here for our project. So we want to create an object here called Parser, and what the Parser will allow us to do is allow us to create a new instance of XML to JS.parser, and that gives an XML parser that we can actually use. So we want to go ahead and actually read in the file that has the XML within it. So the way you do this is you do an fs.read file, and the way you want to actually go ahead and read it, we're actually going to need a directory. So it's going to be something like _dir name plus subscriptions _manager.xml, and we're going to do a comma. We add a callback here and make a little bit more space here. We're going to go ahead and give it a callback. Once this is actually done, give it a comma at the end. And what we want to do is we actually want to go ahead and start parsing out that data that we're actually going to be receiving from that XML manager XML file. So the way we do this is we do parser dot parse string, and I'm going to go ahead and pass in the data. So it's going to be data dot function, another anonymous function here, and we're going to get error, or we're going to get a result from this. So as you can see here, we have the parser string data function error dot result, and if we have any results, we actually want to go ahead and match this up. So I'm going to say var nodes for each of the nodes in the actual structure. So I'm going to go var nodes is equal to result dot opml, and we want to do the body of that, and we want to go ahead and grab the first of the body of those, because it's going to return us an array of items. So we're going to go outline, return the first of those, and then dot outline this. So now this should get us all the nodes that are inside that file. So if we go back here and look at the file itself, as you can see here, we have the opml body outline, then we have an outline here, and you can see here all these outlines. And that's pretty much what we want. We want each of these outlines. So if you go back here and we just do a little log here for nodes, just to make sure we don't have any errors in the application, I'm going to go back into my terminal here, and I'm going to do node app.js, and as you can see here, we have all the ones that are all of our subscriptions. And as you can see here, it's returning back an array of items, and each of these array of items has an object within it. So we actually need to go ahead and parse those nodes into something that's actually a little bit useful. So I'm going to say for each here, and I'm going to get each of those nodes, and this is going to give us a node. We're going to need the index a little bit later, because we actually need to be able to modify a couple values here based on the index. Actually, we won't need the index. Thought we might need the index. I don't think. If we need it, we can always add it back in. It doesn't really matter. So what I want to do is I'm going to do var URL is going to equal to node. Oh, probably get an idea to get you guys back into the text editor. Here's node, and we want to do node, and we want to do $.xml URL. And if we go back to the terminal here, we can see here that so we're doing $, and then we're doing .xml URL, which is the URL that we're going to get here, which is exactly what we want. If we go back over here into the terminal, you'll see here that we have the URL now. Now we actually need a substring of this URL, so we can say something like URL is equal to URL.substring. And what we want to do is we want to grab the URL index of, and we want to grab the index of wherever you have an equal sign plus 1, because we don't want to grab the equal sign, and we want to do URL.length. Okay, cool. So now if we go back into the terminal, I'm going to go ahead and show you what this code is actually doing. So we go back in here, back in the terminal. As you can see here, we have this wrong URL, and we don't want this URL because this isn't the actual YouTube URL. What this is a subscription URL, because we don't need this URL. We actually need the URL that we're actually previously posing, which is the URL one. So as you can see here, we're going through this entire string and we're finding this equal sign. We're adding one and we're grabbing this part right here. So we're going from anything outside of the equal sign all the way to the end of the equal sign. This will get us the URL that we're actually looking for. Now we're going to say var channel. Go back to my text editor here. Var channel, and I'm going to say equal to https www.youtube.com/channel whatever the URL is. And then now we have a channel. So that's pretty much how a channel is actually found once you actually use that URL to actually go to the YouTube place. But as I said before, we actually need the index. And I remember now why I need the index. We actually need the index as a safeguard to make sure we actually don't go over and actually start commenting out, running this program, and it goes off and opens up a bunch of different Chrome tabs. So we want to do index is equal to 1, and I'm going to say child process.exec, which is going to execute, and we want to execute this command called open -a. We want to open up Google Chrome, and we want to pass in the parameter of channel for the URL. So now what this is going to do is going to say the first loop. I'm going to go ahead and actually open up Chrome with this with the first channel that you find, which is going to be whichever one is on the XML file. So I'm going to go ahead and run this application, but I'm going to switch over to the browser here, and actually I'm going to clear this out, go back into terminal here, into the terminal, and then I'm going to do node app, and then back into the browser itself. Here's the browser, and as you can see here, I actually went ahead and went over to the channel that actually did that. And I'm actually going to run the app. I'm going to go ahead and close this tab one more time, and I'm going to go ahead and run the app one more time. And as you can see, it went ahead and opened up the new channel that I found here. So technically what this script is going to do is, if you remove, let me go back to the text editor. If you remove this if.index equals to 1 and just let this execute, this is actually going to open up all the channels that are within the XML file. Now, the reason why I added that if statement there is because this can be a little bit tricky. You can actually cause Chrome's memory bank to overflow and essentially crash the entire program and start over, which is really annoying. Another note here is, once you actually get this to work the way it's supposed to and you run this with your subscriptions, you got to make sure that you're in the right account, and then you'll be able to subscribe to each of the channels that way. But you must be saying, Rick, there's definitely an easier way to do this than to open up a bunch of different tabs and then click subscribe on each of the channels. There actually is. And if you go back to the blog post here, I'm going to go back into the blog post, open up Chrome. If you go back into this blog post, you can actually go down here, and there's the YouTube API that allows you to do all these different calls to the YouTube subscription here. So if you want to go ahead and automate this even more to the next step, where it actually subscribes you automatically to a channel, you can actually go over to the YouTube API and they'll allow you to do exactly that. But for my case, I don't want to do that because I want to verify that actually some of these subscriptions I actually want to still be part of them, because more than likely some of the channels, maybe I'm not interested anymore or whatever it might be. So I don't want to automate this entire process. I want to just make sure and go through all the subscriptions, actually find the one that I want, actually click subscribe, and actually allow me to do that. So that's pretty much all there is to this application itself. It's a really simple app that lets you pretty much parse XML, open up different tabs, and then jump into those applications themselves. Now, if you guys are interested in Nodejs.com, I definitely encourage you to check it out over at Nodejs.com, and I'm going to be definitely posting more content over there, and there's going to be a lot of fun things going on over here as far as content related issues. So that's pretty much all there is to this video. Below this blog post, you'll find the download code option, which will allow you to download the entire source code. So pretty much all you have to do is download subscriptions and click node app.js, and that will go ahead and kick off the application itself. Again, that's all there is to this. Write a comment below this video, and if you have found this helpful, and I will talk to you next